All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone this evening to another one of our information sessions from NTEU as we continue to move forward in both the Intermountain and the Pacific West region of organizing parks employees across offices and parks and historic sites and monuments. And to join their union siblings in the National Capital Region and in WASO. And tonight we have leaders from our Chapter 296, which covers the WASO office and employees who are stationed out of that office. And I'm really excited. We've represented this unit for quite a while. So I'm excited for them to be sharing the lessons that they've learned and what has changed for them and why they believe that having a strong union is so important right now. So with that, um, so, our agenda is pretty simple tonight. We are going to get right into talking with our panel of, excuse me, our chapter leaders from WASO. I'll be asking a few prepared questions, and then we're going to just go through briefly the organizing process. And then we will be opening it up for your questions to talk directly to other NPS employees who have a union, whatever questions you all may have. As we go throughout, feel free to drop those questions in the chat as you think of them. And we will get to those at the end. You'll also be able to raise your hand and ask a question coming off of mute directly to our panelists or organizers. With that, let's get started. So I'm really excited and really honored to introduce our NPS leaders who were our very first NPS leaders to join NTEU. The Chapter 296 was our first chapter as we continue to grow and represent national parks employees. And so this evening we have Rudy and Tim, and yes, I see Alan has also joined us. Awesome. Thank you all for taking time to be here to talk with your colleagues who are going through the process to get to a union election. So I have a few questions, as I mentioned, to get us started that I'll ask of all of you all. And then as we go through, we'll be opening it up to other questions as well. So my first question to each of you all would be to introduce yourself, talk about your role in the union, as if someone hasn't been in a union before, and tell us a little bit about why you got involved with the union. Rudy, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, happy to. Uh, Good evening, everybody. I'm Rudy D'Alessandro. I've been the president of NTEU's Chapter 296 for WASO since 2012, and it's a long time. I've been a steward and a union member since 2003, and the reason I became a union member was that there was a meeting with our then deputy director who was telling us that we had to polish our resumes because they were going to obliterate our office and send us to the Four Corners. The then president of the chapter, Tim McEwen, heard about the meeting, interrupted it, told the deputy director he couldn't have this meeting because he did not officially notify the union and he didn't bargain with the union on the impact and implementation of these proposed changes in working conditions from my little Office of International Affairs of the Park Service. Tim McEwen then came around the next week and said, "Hey, join the union." So I did, and three of my other five colleagues did join. And so right there, I saw the use of the union, which was to come in and tell career senior managers, or in that case, it was a political appointee, Don Murphy, you need to abide by the tenets of the collective bargaining agreement. At that time, we only had NEFI's pre-existing contract because we had been with NFFE previous. We had decertified them to join NTEU because we felt that NTU had more support for the union, had attorneys, had so much more going for it than NEFI does, and still does. So that's why I became a union member, why I became a union steward was that Tim McEwen said, "Hey, we need stewards," which is a call we're going to make again on Friday when we have our monthly chapter member meeting. We always need stewards. Tim always told me, find people with fire in their bellies. Right now, a lot of us have fire in our bellies, whether we're new, mid-career, or aging geezers like Alan and myself, who've been around for 30 plus years in the Park Service. Um, and what do we do? What's our role? We listen to our fellow colleagues. We hear what's going on with them. We pull that together. We look at patterns. We share that with the attorneys that NTU has available to us. And we file grievances or follow arbitration cases, or we engage with senior or middle career managers and say, what are you doing? You are screwing around with things. Sometimes we can scare managers, and I love that. And that's not an unimportant thing. We like to let managers know, because their career as well, most of them, that they're being watched. We are watching them and we're documenting everything they do. We're creating a case against them if they're screwing over our employees. Right now, they're getting away with a lot of crap, hog wild, ignoring the contract and the union. But we're taking notes. They're going to be held accountable sooner or later. And that's what the union can do, is watch what career senior managers and political appointees are doing and hold them accountable. Alan?
Thanks, Rudy. Hi, everyone. I only take issue with one thing Rudy said, which was the geezer piece. Um, but he knew I would say that. Uh, Thanks for having me today, and I'm glad that you all are having this conversation. And I guess I'll give you the background that really drew me into joining the union. And I'll admit, first off, that in 2011, when I joined WASO in the water division, I was not a union member. I was a bargaining unit employee for a few years. And then I spent some time as a branch chief. And in that role, I was a supervisor, and supervisors are not able to join the union. And I experienced some really bad bullying behaviors by a boss in that branch chief role, and um, went through many iterations. I won't bore you with all the details of that, but it became obvious to me that I was on my own. I did not have legal support. I did not have people support. Um, Managers supported management. So it was always higher up the chain is where that support was provided. Um, I ended up getting my own legal representation out of my pocket, and ultimately, to make the story short, I was encouraged to take a different position. So I lateraled into a different position, and the bully remained in place, which is not how this is supposed to work. It's not what we're told, and I've seen it many times nonetheless. So once I was given a non-supervisory status, I immediately joined the union. As I went through that experience, I had reached out to Rudy, who provided me some advice, mostly because he's a good guy, and is a friend. So I had him available, but it was very different than the sort of support that being a union member, a dues-paying member, um, provides. So that's the background. That's the process that took me into joining Chapter 296 as a WASO employee. I was in natural resource stewardship and science, and I was in the water division and moved into the climate change response program, where I had a wonderful supervisor who was very supportive of me participating in the union. Um, she was a good sounding board, and it was great to see that sort of support. I think um, that's important, and what we should strive for is that good labor management relationship. And I think, under Rudy's leadership, especially, we've had great, what used to be monthly meetings with management. So we represent a number of directorates within WASO, and we were having very good meetings, and it provided an opportunity to have dialogue on important issues. So and I guess I left this off. I don't think I mentioned, I'm currently serving as second vice president for the chapter. There are two. Um, that's been my role um, over the last 3 years, I believe it's been. I actually served some time as secretary, then moved into second vice president. Uh, and some of the places I've enjoyed engaging the most are creating those relationships I just described with management. Because I've been a manager, and for me, it's really important uh, for to work together with staff to create a good working environment. Park Service has always been family to me. Um, Prior to that episode I mentioned with the bullying, I had had really good support. This is an awkward time, and I feel like I've taken the pedestal for too long already, but I'll close out by saying some of the places I've been able to remain involved and really provide support, in addition to creating those managerial relationships, or grievances is something that Rudy mentioned, helping to use our collective bargaining agreement and the rules that we've put in place um, collaboratively with management. Uh, So identifying those things that we've agreed to, and call out managers when they get outside of those guidelines that we've established. Always try to resolve an issue with staff and managers prior to getting involved in a grievance. I think that's the best approach. Um, but some hot topics that we do touch on are bullying, um, the 16E review, which says the Park Service does not allow bullying to occur. Letters of reprimand have been something that have been used more often lately, it seems. EPAP results, we support employees when performance reviews don't go as expected. And telework is something else. I was a telework employee um, for throughout COVID and a couple of years afterwards. And you may recall we got called back to 50% telework time. The union supported my request to remain in the office just 1 day per week and not 50%. And I was called to a hearing a couple of months ago, and we expect to hear results on that hearing for telework within August, this month. We're supposed to hear results. So I look forward to learning about that and how we may be able to help protect telework. Uh, Hopefully that answered the questions that I was presented. If I missed something, let me know, and happy to answer questions afterwards. Tim.
All right. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Wind. I'm the secretary for our chapter, which means I'm in charge of taking notes. I'm a note taker, and but that is an elected position. I ran unopposed, but I've been in my position here a year-ish, and before that, I was a steward, and I've only been a member with the union for a few years. I guess it started with a guilt trip from the in-laws. I have a mother-in-law who is a public school teacher and a father-in-law who is a retired police officer, and in his retirement became an attorney for the Teamsters. And my mother-in-law was asking me some questions about the union, and I said, I don't know. Ours is optional. I don't do anything with them. And she said, well, don't tell Bill and go join immediately. So I had it on my to-do list and then got in a fight with my boss shortly after that and figured it was a good time to look into it. And became a member and just became more and more active ever since. Um, I think one of the things that I think is really cool is the national support that we get. Legislative affairs people that have contacts in Congress that spend time daily on the Hill come to our meetings and give us a pulse of what's going on out there, what to expect. Um, we have, our attorneys that advise both on big cases that are going on as well as individual grievances. It's many layers of support that I think is really cool. I think that might be about all that I have. I live in Denver. I work in contracting. I think that's it. I don't know.
Thanks so much, Tim. I got more questions for you. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. So my next question, really for all of you, but whoever wants to step up and answer first is fine. Um, let's start with an easy one. Share a victory that you're really proud of from your time with the union. Something that was a real tangible win. Uh, does anyone want to start?
Sure, I'm happy to. Several things, but I'll just mention about 10 years ago, we had some mistreatment of GS7 employees who were both single moms in graphics identity program of the Park Service of WASO. And they had been suspended without pay for 2 weeks. When you're a GS7, that's a lot of money. And we took this all the way to, at that time, we had 3 steps in our grievance process. We took it to the Associate Director for Workforce and Inclusion at that time, particularly onerous jerk named David Vella, who later was the acting director of the Park Service. And this man heard our case and understood where we were coming from, but he still upheld the suspension without pay. And he upheld that, but the supervisor in question, who had been the reason why these 2 employees got docked 2 weeks' pay, she was removed from management. She was removed from supervision. We had mentioned that. And this woman was herself a minority, but she'd picked on another set of minority colleagues of ours. She was Asian, they were black. And we pointed that out. And even though that jerk of an associate director, later acting director, um, still upheld the the suspension of pay, they did get rid of this supervisor, this bad supervisor. They removed them. So that's one win that we had as union officials that I'm proud of.
Thanks for sharing, Rudy. Alan or Tim, do you want to share a story that has been
I,
particularly moving for you?
I suspect Rudy has many more to share. One that stands out for me was a woman contacted me from the DC office, and she was being bullied and treated unfairly by her supervisor. And so I helped her develop substantive grievance language, and we grieved uh, what she was going through. And during the grievance process, the Labor Relations Office management uh, oddly determined that the group that she was part of was no longer um, so it was no longer represented as bargaining unit employees. So they took the bargaining unit status away from the group that this woman was in. So I worked with NTEU lawyers to develop an argument. We took it uh, to arbitration, had it reviewed, and the reviewer determined that this determination was incorrect. So what they had said was it was a FOIA group for the Park Service, and that they did national security work. And you may be hearing this sort of buzz right now as the administration is trying to take union representation away from employees. We were able to get representation back. The people were, again, bargaining unit employees. And unfortunately, the woman found a job outside of the Park Service in order to create a better work environment for herself. Unfortunate because we weren't able to hold that manager ultimately accountable, but I'm really proud to say that we were able to bring them back into the union fold.
Preserving bargaining unit work is really important and ensuring that we are creating arguments right now for why so much of this work is not national security work is also great. We need all of that right now. So moving on to another question. Uh, I was wondering, I think that a question that a lot of people have is how does a union increase transparency and fairness in the workplace? Wondering what you all would say to that. Anyone? Looks like we might have lost.
I'd be happy to answer that, Lee. Uh, Alan alluded to this, that we had monthly meetings since 2012 or between 2012 and early 2025. We had monthly meetings that we called Labor Management Relationship Committee meetings. And it was us, chapter leaders. It was often a deputy associate director for visitor and resource protection, the labor employee relations chief, representative from two or
Hi.
three of the directorates. And we were able to raise issues every month that we came across with senior career managers to let them know, you may not be hearing this, but we're hearing this, so that at least in terms of fairness, this is happening. We also issue a monthly chapter newsletter that we sent not just to chapter members, dues paying members, and not just to bargaining unit employees, those who are eligible to join a union, but to everybody in WASO, from the director on down, saying, here's what's going on. I can't tell you how many times managers, whether middle or lower supervisors, or even associate director, told us they really appreciated us issuing this monthly newsletter. I one time found I'd gone up to the Hall of Zeros, which is the front hall of heroes, for the director, deputy directors, associate directors. And I saw the associate director for park planning, Mike Caldwell, coming to the copy machine in their hall, pulling off a copy of our newsletter that I had just sent out. So everybody's reading that. So transparency, we're letting folks know what we're working on, what we're seeing. We're not always throwing everybody under the bus unless we absolutely feel like they deserve it.
I appreciate that answer. Um, a question that I think as people are starting to figure out not just that they want a union, but like, wow, this is possible, they're starting to see that finish line. They starting to think, how does a union actually work? And a question that I hear a lot is, how is a union going to determine priorities? Especially what if people don't all have the same position? How does that get handled with your union? How do you set priorities?
I'll jump on that real quick. Um, we try to listen to everybody. When we have our chapter member meetings, and we're having one this Friday, I believe at 2 p.m., and Tim will be sending out a Zoom note for that. We have an agenda. It's not one topic. It's lots of topics. And we have an open mic. If there's something we didn't put on the agenda that you want to raise, please do raise it. Um, we have an open door policy. We're hearing from folks constantly. We have six or more signal channels, hearing from people constantly about what's going on, what's a priority to them, because it might not be something that is impacting everybody, but generally anything that happens to anybody is affecting everybody else. So, our priorities are to try to take care of everybody with NTU's great little model of we want to and we stand for everybody, every federal employee being treated with dignity and respect. So we are totally flexible. One month it might be we're focused on telework, but we don't forget there's remote work issues, or that there's not fairness in opportunities to lateral into a position, or that this two-page resume requirement is making folks not eligible for jobs that they are eligible for. So we're not a one-issue union. There are so many different topics that we try to cover. Tim, Alan, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think, from the perspective of everybody having their role, um, we have a board of five and we have 20 some stewards. And one of the cool things about our chapter is we have stewards from all different backgrounds. We have stewards, both from their experience working as a steward, but also from their day job. Like we have a steward that works in AOC travel. And so a lot of those weird questions that, I would know the first thing about what goes on at AOC. We have somebody, who can consult us on that. We have a few stewards from my group from contracting, and even amongst them, people who are stronger in finance than I am. So, I mean, I think that it really is a team effort. And, we have a really large group of really, really good stewards that, support our bargaining unit. And then we also, the members that we have send us information, especially this year when, information's coming from 100 different sources. A lot of times we're not the first people to hear it. And so it's like I guess, union united. But, we really, by working, together as a group, we are able to serve our members so much better.
Appreciate those answers.
Lee, I would mention something I heard you ask was prioritization, and something I've tried to do is look for common issues where we can help support many on a similar issue. And some examples of that are currently the EPAP reviews. So EPAPs are being rewritten, and I believe this is across the service. And I did not mention that I've retired. I retired in March, and yet I've been able to continue as a retiree serving with Chapter 296 in this capacity. So EPAPs, I mentioned telework, what we're calling kidnapping right now, which is where people are being moved into DOI and out of the Park Service. So some of those big common issues are a way that we can prioritize and lump and hopefully be more successful, as well as making sure we're taking on these individual issues as they come up and doing that evenly and representing everyone.
Thanks, Alan. I think that added a really a nice additional layer to that question. All right, check-in time here. I think we've got a time for a few more questions. Um, I'm curious what you all say when somebody says, "Why should I be a member of the union? Why should I pay my dues?" Alan, I've got you on the screen right now. Do you want to answer that first?
I'll take a shot at it. I've heard people don't always like this statement that paying union dues. I mentioned having legal representation, and it serves as a bit of insurance, if you will, that you do have representation available, that you have people to support you. Um, And it does make a difference when you're paying dues and being an active member like that versus just general support, which is where I started off. Um, so I'll stop there. I think that's a response, Lee.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
Tim, Rudy?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's been cool this year is there's been a little bit of a shift in our new members. And it used to be usually people would join if they get in trouble. Um, and that, that was me. I got written up for not doing my time card on time, which I thought was kind of a silly thing for disciplinary action. But I think that this year, people have seen the need for a union at the national level. And, all of the court cases that are going on, when you watch the actual nightly news, it talks about what union is fighting what executive order or what action by the administration. And you see that it's that you have a part of that as a member, that, that's where your dues are going at the end of the day. And so I think that it's been cool to see, um, that people view the union as more than a defense attorney when they get in trouble, or, if disciplined or whatever, they've been denied at work, that they do have a right to.
Um, I would also add that those union attorneys don't come for free. Our dues pay for their salaries, and they're under no obligation to help a brother out if you're in trouble. They're not going to help Tim with a grievance if he's not paying his dues. Alan and I, as stewards, union officers, we do have a duty of fair representation. So we'll talk to Tim. But if it's a really serious issue and we need to file a grievance, we'll do that. But if it's something where we feel like the agency is so in the wrong that it needs to go to arbitration, we'll take it to Sarah or Dan, our field attorneys, and say, hey, we got a stone in our shoe. And they'll say, is the person in question a union member? And if we say no, they'll say, ask them to join. And if we do, and they say, the hell with it, I can get this for free, we'll say, go with God. Get the hell out of our office. Get out of our face. You've got to pay for these services. We can't make our attorneys, field attorneys from NTEU, take an arbitration case. Sometimes they'll take one because they think, oh, this is really strong. Still get them to join the union. We had a case with a special agent from Visitor and Resource Protection who took up 3 years of our time, literally hundreds of hours. My time, several stewards, and Sarah Rieger, who was then our field attorney. Now she's National Co-Counsel. And uh, this guy took forever to join the union. I even just tried to dissuade Sarah from taking the case to arbitration because I didn't think it was strong. She lost that case. She should have listened to me. So, there's now almost 600 of us who are union members. We're really strong chapter. And I think we've proven that we listen to folks, we work with them, and people understand the benefit of being part of the union.
All right. I think that is a great segue. I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Stephanie, to talk about the union process, how we get to an election. And then we are going to open it back up for questions for our full panel. All right. I've got you, Spotlit, and I've got this and then 1187 stuff on the next screen.
Okay, thank you, Lee. So as you all know, we've been organizing in both regions, the Pacific West region as well as the Intermountain region. And we're well on our way. I mean, this campaign is really gaining momentum now. And this is the process that we will be going through in order to get you as each region to an election and then finally have your union certified to represent you. So we are already completed most of the first row, and we're all the way over on the right-hand side of signing 1187s. So it's pretty much now where we're asking people, to do the thing, to sign the 1187 form, so that we can get to the point where we have majority support in your region. And then once we have that majority support, we will file a petition with the Federal Labor Relations Authority for the FLRA to arrange the election. So once we've met our threshold of 50%, then we hand it over to the FLRA. They are a neutral third party that runs the election system. So they will set up a meeting with us in the agency to look at eligibility lists and things like that. And once we agree on the bargaining unit, we'll set election dates. The election is usually electronic or some type of hybrid between electronic and in person. Just kind of depends on the makeup of the bargaining unit and where people are geographically. But it is a secret ballot election, meaning that each person who is eligible in the bargaining unit will have an opportunity to vote anonymously for or against the union. The results of that, in order to win, we need 50% plus one of those voting. So the entire bargaining unit will probably not vote. I mean, they receive all of the employees will receive ballots, but it's the people who show up to vote who actually determine the results of the election. And we need 50%. We need the simple majority of those folks who vote to vote yes. Then once that happens and the votes are tallied and we prevail in that election, then your union becomes certified. So once your union is certified, then you can start on your progress towards negotiating a collectively bargained agreement or a CBA. But until the time that you get a contract, you do have some rights that you don't have prior to being certified. So if the agency wants to make changes to your working conditions, and I believe it was Rudy that mentioned this earlier, they have to come to the union and have a discussion about those changes, whether or not your contract is in effect yet or not. So really, once your union is certified, you have representation in light of changes that the agency wants to make. And then also as individuals, you have representation if you're one of our members. So yeah, that's where we're at. And we really do feel like that we're making great progress. There is a sense of urgency. As you know, federal employees are under attack every day with this administration. And so we want to get you to the election process as quickly as we can. So if people are on the fence about signing or want to sign but have just not done that yet, As I said before, it's kind of now is the time to do the thing, right? So if you want to sign the 1187, and Lee, do we have the 1187 slide? Oh, okay. So we have more information on the 1187. It is a dual purpose form. For the purposes of where we are right now in the organizing process, it is the form that we need in order to prove that we have a showing of interest. So it is the record that we keep and then that we provide to the FLRA to show that we have met our threshold in order to file for an election. It is also a membership form. And so once your union is certified and you become part of NTEU, you are assigned a chapter number and you become part of the NTEU union family, then your membership kicks in and the membership form basically is becomes a dues deduction form. And so that's when dues will start coming out after you're certified, and also after you write your bylaws, because that's where you will include your local dues amount. And so, your dues don't start coming out unless you actually form your union. So we have great organizing committees in both regions working right now. I believe all of the parks that are currently involved in the organizing effort at least have one person on the organizing committee or someone within the park that has agreed to be a contact for organizing. And so if you don't know who those folks are, you can reach out to us and we can put you in touch with an organizer from your park or from your region. Or if you're interested in actually being an organizer for your park, we can also make that happen for you and give you the tools that you need in order to do that. So training, provide you with lists, all the things. You can help out by talking to your coworkers. So if you've already signed, you can help out by, spreading the word and spreading the message and just emphasizing how important it is that we get these 1187s signed as quickly as possible and we can get to this to the election quickly. If you are interested in being an organizer, organizing is done on off-duty time. And so, you will be devoting a little bit of time per week to help out with communicating with your colleagues and also with the rest of the organizing committee and Lee or myself. So as I said before, we need 50% of the bargaining unit in your region to sign an 1187 in order for us to file for that petition with the FLRA. So if you're ready or you have someone that a colleague that's ready to sign the 1187, you can go to the NTEU NPS page of our website. So it's nteu.org/NPS. That's a special page that we've put together just for this campaign. And there's a blue button, like a teal blue colored button about halfway down the page that says submit an 1187 here. So you can just click on that and it will prompt you for your email address and a link will be sent to your personal email. That when you click on that in your email, it takes you straight to the 1187 form. The 1187 form, the electronic form, we've indicated which boxes are important for you to fill out. So if you just look they're like little red asterisks in the boxes that we need filled out, that'll guide you through that form. You'll notice that there is no red asterisks in box 3 or the chapter number. Box 3, you don't need to worry about, and we don't have a chapter number yet because you haven't gone through an election and actually become an NTEU chapter as of yet. Under agency name, it's really important for us to know that your NPS, your region, and your park or work site, just so that we can keep track of the numbers that we're getting in from all of the different parks. Just please, you can put the acronym for your park there, and that helps us immensely. You will get a receipt, a confirmation receipt, once you sign your 1187. So make sure that after you hit submit, that you're watching for that confirmation to come. And if you don't receive it, sometimes there are, glitches in technology. So just make sure that you get that confirmation receipt, and if you don't, that you reach out to one of us so that we can track your form down or have you sign another one if it didn't go through. If you have any questions, you can contact Lee for the Intermountain region, and you can see Lee's contact information here, or myself for the Pacific West region. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that the guests we've had on today will also be willing to answer any questions that you have. So really, we just want to help you along on this process anyway, and this journey any way that we can. So reach out to us, reach out to our guests, reach out to the organizing committee, and we will help you in any way that we can. I think now we're just going to open it up for Q&A. So if you have questions for us as organizers or our guests from 296, you can raise your hand and ask those, or unmute yourself and just ask those questions. We kind of just want to have a dialogue now and address any of your needs or questions. I did see a question in the chat earlier asking if our 296 folks will be willing to help in our regional efforts by reaching out to people that they know or that they have contacts with. I don't know if Rudy, Ellen, or Tim want to unmute yourself and address that verbally.
Sure. Tim and I joined a chat 2 weeks ago, Tim, with organizers in Intermountain and Pacific West region. Tim might remember who exactly we talked with. One of the folks who's working on Intermountain region is a former steward of ours who used to be in natural resources and now has been in IMR for many years. He's actually paying dues, just the $42 a year dues, as a member of our chapter, Randy Stanley. So a lot of us know a lot of folks across the system. So we're happy to reach out to folks, talk to folks. I know that one of our stewards was just in Olympic National Park yesterday or in the last few days, and there was an organizing party there.
Yes.
So that was Christine Lipsky. So our folks are out there. I'm going up to Alaska region next month, and I plan to see some folks from Denali while I'm in Healy. So if anybody knows folks in Denali or Kenai Fjords or the Alaska Regional Office, let me know. Let them know I'm coming if they don't already know. I'm up there semi-officially. I'm on administrative leave. I took the DRIP, deferred resignation. Um, but I'm doing the 30th and last seminar on park interpretation with my Japanese colleagues there. And so I'm going, even though I no longer have a PIV card or a phone or a computer that's government. So whenever we travel, we're happy to meet with folks and talk with folks, stop in with people from other parks. Tim?
I don't have much to add. I don't know that I'm too connected, but I am at the Denver Federal Center. If anybody from IMR is nearby, happy to chat. And we're buying pizza for Founders Day. So we'll have a small thing out front, but yeah, stop by my desk anytime, and happy to answer any questions that I can and do whatever I can to help.
Actually, Tim, I should reach out to you. I think we've actually got some of our IMRO folks here who are also in the Denver Federal Center, and I'm going to be out there, not this coming week, but the week after. We're going to do some tabling and a union lunch. So maybe we can get you to hop over and join us. I will reach out.
Is the week after, that would be when our lunch is, the 25th is Founders Day, when NPS became an agency back in 1916. So that's our pizza event is for Founders Day. But yeah, I'll be in that Monday through Wednesday.
That's amazing. That's when I will be there. Like I said, I'll reach out. But this is great to make that connection. Alan, did you want to add anything else? I saw that you had responded in the chat that you were happy to help how you could.
Yeah, I guess that's my response. That's why I didn't chime in because I had put that in writing. But maybe we can drop our Chapter 296 Gmail account. That's a way to reach out to us into the chat. But I am retired. I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, so about an hour north of Tim. Um, but local, and I too travel around and try to see parks. So glad to share what I know. Thanks, Tim, for dropping that email in.
Awesome. I saw a question in the chat about whether it needs to be the whole park or just an individual. It does need to be 50% of your park. So each park that's joining in the campaign is working to hit 50% of their park or their office or site as we reach 50% for the full region of who's involved in the campaign. And so it's possible that there's other people that are already organizing or have reached out at your site, but even if not, I encourage you for the IMR, reach out to me. Lee.fisher@nteu.org. I can drop that in the chat again. Or if any of the other IMR organizers want to drop their information, you can also reach out to one of your colleagues at one of the parks that's organizing, and they can help get you in touch if your park is already involved. Other questions for our panelists for current unionized NPS employees?
Hey, Lee, I'll at least chime in. I've had the opportunity to speak with all three of them, or I've known them previously, so they have been very supportive and just want to echo and appreciate you all being here to kind of speak to us and say what's worked because I knew nothing about unions 3 months ago, and this has been already an adventure to get where we're at. And great to be part of and just to get to know you all that have been successful and being a part of it. And then as our region and both regions rather are growing and making this happen. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Travis. Awesome. I see folks drop in information. Any other questions for our NPS folks? Or for the organizers? We're just about at the top of the hour, but we could probably take one more question. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Rudy, if you're in the DC area currently, thanks for joining us late. Really appreciate being able to connect MPS employees with each other. At the end of the day, this is your union, and I think it really matters to hear from folks who already have a union about what it has meant for them. Please reach out if you have any questions, if you want to get involved, and if you have not already signed your 1187, do so at nteu.org /NPS. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.